Hey, this is Rob with South Main Travelers, and we're getting ready to do a review of Royal Caribbean's Symphony of the Seas. Hey, we're going to do a tour of an interior room on Symphony of the Seas. This is on the 6th deck, so that'll give you an idea of at least where it's at. This should be typical for most of your interior rooms out on here. As you enter the back of the door, you'll have your safety information. You have your I'm sleeping in the room sign. The lights, you have to have a card in place to keep the lights and all the stuff on. To your left, as you come in, there's a full-length mirror, a little desk area with a mirror, a lighted mirror. There are 2 USB ports. There are 3 110 volt outlets and 1 230 volt outlet. And then you also have the switch to control lights. This has a small chair so you can sit to do whatever work you want to do while you're on your cruise ship. Okay, so beyond the desk, you have a drawer up here, which has got the hairdryer in it. You've got down here the mini fridge, TV, and this will swing out so you can see it from the bed, but not very far. There are 4 drawers for storage. To the right over here is a nice size sofa, and there is storage on both sides of the sofa. On the right is a full-length closet, and on the left you have a lot of shelves. It's got the safe, and then there are also 2 drawers below that, storage drawers. And then beyond there is the bed, king size bed. There's great storage under the bed, so we have a large suitcase and it fits under the bed. One thing I will point out is on the phone, there is a USB charge port right on the side of the phone. So if you have a device you want to charge, if it will charge by USB, you can charge it on the phone. And over on the other side, there is a 110 volt outlet and then a switch to control lights over here. All right, so right after you come in, they have the bathroom to the right. And let me just go in here. And if you look, you've got the shower pod with the swinging glass door. All right, as we come on in, if you look right inside the door, you've got a place for towels, a full mirror, and then you have your charger up here that will you can plug in a like a razor charger or whatever. There's shelves. You've got a sink over here. Of course, is your typical cruise ship toilet. You got the trash can and another little trash can and more towels and other things. Okay, so one of the things I want to talk about are the restaurants. We're here in the Central Park area where you got Jamie's and Chops Grill, which are upcharge restaurants, as well as the Park Cafe. So here in the Park Cafe, they have some grab-and-go selections of sandwiches and wraps, a few desserts, cookies. You can get coffee, some water, the flavored waters, and they have a salad bar. They'll build you a salad right on the line. So it's a pretty nice place. It's all grab and go, and it's all complimentary.
and there are a number of bars located all around the ship. One thing that you'll find a lot of on Symphony of the Seas are entertainment venues. The Aqua Theater is one of the coolest things I've seen on a ship. And if activities are something you're really interested in, Symphony of the Seas has got you covered. Everything from mini golf to zip lines, they have the flow rider, and all sorts of stuff, and we'll cover all that stuff in just a moment.
All right, so what I want to do is a basic wrap up of our entire cruise. This is our last sea day right now. We've had a good bit of time to really take a good look at Symphony of the Seas. There's a lot of really good stuff about Symphony of the Seas, and there's some things that I want to point out that really aren't, I'm not a fan of. I will say that the buffet was probably one of the things I wasn't the biggest fan of. The food was okay, but it was kind of the management in general. There were just small little things that just seemed to make you feel like they were trying to rush you out in a big hurry. I know there's a lot of people that they've got to feed, and these are just my opinions. But they started barricading off sections, almost an hour before the buffet would close. They would either close down one side and you would have to struggle to find a place to sit, or even within the last 30 minutes they would have, even with the only side they had open, they would have stanchions up and barricading off just different passageways. It wasn't actually barring you from going anywhere in specific, but you had to backtrack just to get to certain things. It was a little bit odd. But the food in general at the Windjammer was good. The service was great, and so I don't have a big complaint about it. Just some odd management of time, I guess I should say. One other thing I'm not a fan of as far as the Windjammer buffet is the hours seem a little short, and kind of like goes back to what I was saying about when they're ready to close, within 30 minutes, you might as well not even show up because they are kind of rushing folks out. And we experienced this on another Royal Caribbean cruise, so it's not necessarily just the Symphony of the Seas. we've had where the buffet tends to want to close, and when they close, they are very strict about it. One of the other things that I'm not a fan of would be the beds, and that's, I think, a Royal Caribbean thing. They are very firm, and I typically like a firm mattress, but these are really firm. We did request an extra mattress pad, and our room steward was kind enough to set that up for us, and that helped some. But it was very, very firm mattresses, and I'm just going to say that's not something I'm a fan of. But other than that, the room was great. So I thoroughly enjoyed the room. Nice amenities, other than, like I said, the bed just being a little on the stiff side, and the nightstands are very narrow. So off-peak hours, access to food is a little bit limited. There's the pizza place, Sorrento's is open on the off-peak hours, so you can always get a thing of pizza. During the day, you've got, on the off-peak hours, the Cafe Promenade's got the little bitty grab and go sandwiches. I didn't see a whole lot in there that I was a big fan of, but again, that's just personal preference. So there are a few places, but it's not. I've been on some other cruise lines where you had a little bit more access to legitimate, food establishments throughout the entirety of the day. Some of those would be earlier, some would be later, but there was always multiple options on. And I'm not really going to just point out a whole lot of names because, I'm not. This isn't about who's better, but I think they could do. I think Royal Caribbean could do better about the food access. Just not being as regimented about when food is to be served. One more ding that I'm going to give Royal Caribbean in general on food is, okay, so we've done a whole lot with Carnival, and this was a family cruise for us. So we had it wasn't just me and Melinda. It was my daughter, her kids, her husband. They all cruised with us. I believe you may have seen some video in there of them. And we, at first, were thinking, because we've not done a lot with Royal Caribbean, but at first we were thinking, okay, maybe the your time dining would be more suitable, because we really didn't have a plan for the days that we were gonna, what we're gonna be doing when during those days, and what access they would have to the children's programs. So we thought, your time dining would be good. We were a little bit surprised once we got on board that the earliest scheduled time you could get was 6:45. We tend to like to eat a little earlier than that. We usually like to get the early dining, and when we realized that, before we got on board, we realized that. Once we got on board, we went straight to the dining room to try to see if we could get assigned time, the early dining, and that didn't work out. We were able to eat in the dining room the first couple of nights just because we basically got on a waiting list to get in. And we may, there was a chance you could have sat there for 45 minutes to an hour before getting a table. So we did not get to eat in the dining room very much on this cruise. Because at 6:45, the children are pretty young, and they tend to go to bed 7, 8 o'clock. So starting a dinner that may take up to 2 hours at 6:45 really wasn't going to pan out very well. When sleepy kids get sleepy, they get grumpy, and that would have been a disruption to the other people in the restaurant. So I will say, if you are one that likes to eat early, or you like to go to bed earlier, definitely do the assigned time dining for the early assigned time dining. The activities. There are a lot of activities on the ship. You, of course, have all the zip line and flow rider, and you've got mini golf. They've had pickleball going nonstop, I believe, since we were on here. There are 3 or 4 pools, hot tubs galore. There are exercise activities they have scheduled, usually multiple times during the day, mostly in the morning. So Zumba in the mornings. A lot of times they'll do some yoga stuff, I've noticed. The fitness center is pretty nice. I had considered utilizing it, but that kind of went away pretty much every time I thought about it. Other activities, they have ice skating, they have laser tag, they have an escape room, there's an arcade, there's ping pong. They have a lot of stuff. If you're ever concerned about being bored, there is a lot. I won't even try to mention all of it here because I will definitely fail. One thing that you do need to know about with Royal Caribbean is you book everything. You have to make reservations for, not everything, for most things. All the shows, a lot of the activities, you have to book reservations. And you still, after booking your reservation, will need to show up early to get in the reservation line because they have a standby line. And 10 to 15 minutes before the show starts, even if you're in a reservation line with a reservation, they will open up the standby line, and it's a fend for yourself situation. You even if you have a reservation, if you're not there early enough, we were actually there early enough on one occasion, and as the line approached the entrance to the event, they said, everybody in. And so they opened up. We never even got to scan to get a reservation, but we were at the front of the door. Otherwise, we may not have gotten a seat, even though we did make the reservation. So if you do make a reservation, show up early. As far as the entertainment goes, the entertainment on Symphony of the Seas, and I'm going to say most likely a lot of your Oasis class ships, was exceptionally good. The entertainment they put together was just top notch. I was totally and thoroughly pleased with all the shows that we saw. The one at the Aqua Theater, the Aqua Theater show, Hero, don't even know how to pronounce it. My granddaughter loved that to death. She was just belly laughs galore. She was so excited about it. I will say this about that. It is a very fun show to watch. The first 3 or 4 rows, you're going to get wet. But if you've got kids, let them get wet. It is great. Like I said, my granddaughter had an absolute blast, and we were up front. So, great show, absolutely great show, and top-notch entertainment. There are also the music venues. Pretty much any time, especially in the afternoons and evenings, throughout the ship, you will find some entertainment somewhere, usually a music venue. A lot of the Copper Kettle had an acoustic guitar player in there quite often. The Schooner Bar, that becomes your piano bar in the evenings. The artist there was just he was impressive, really good. But they've got entertainment throughout. Out in Central Park, you'll have entertainers, in the evenings there. It's quite a nice atmosphere. So, in a nutshell, the Symphony of the Seas is a massive ship. It's huge. On the upside, you have activities galore. You have venues for entertainment. You have all sorts of places to eat. There's a lot to do. If you're bored, it's your own fault. On the downside, it is so big, you kind of miss the ocean. You miss the fact that you're on a cruise ship. I tend to like the somewhat smaller ships because I like to get closer to the water. I like to sit out on the decks where you can see the ocean as it goes by. There are very few places. There are some places you can see it on here, but most of those are 15 stories up or more, and it's distant still. So you really don't get that up close and personal feel of the ocean as you would on a smaller ship. And I'm not talking about the smallest, just smaller. But if you are one who is a little apprehensive about cruising, this would be a way to go, because you really feel like you're at a resort and not so much on a cruise ship, because it is big, it does not move much, they're stable. So there's that. So it has its positives and its negatives. We did not do a whole lot of the upcharge dining, and we did not get to eating the main dining room but a couple times. So our food comparisons are based on the buffet and the other complimentary food options that you have on the ship. And as far as that goes, comparing that to other ships and cruise lines that we've sailed with, it's about a 5. It's decent. Nothing blew me away. Nothing was just, oh my gosh, it's great. It was palatable. I was not offended by any of it, but it was not great. There was nothing that I felt I needed to go back and get more of this. So it's decent food for the complimentary stuff, just nothing special. As far as the upcharged restaurants, like I said, we did not eat at many of them, and we did not eat at any of the nicer ones. We did not go to Jamie's or Izumi or any of the Chops Grill, any of those. So I really can't speak to the food there. I have had the food in the upcharge restaurants on other Royal Caribbean ships, and it is exceptionally good. The drawback for that, though, is you really have to decide if it's in your budget, because as of this recording, it was $65 per person for most of the really nice upcharge restaurants. You put 4 people in a restaurant and you're over $200. That's kind of steep, in my opinion. The food is exceptional. Like I said, we did not have it on this ship, but we've had it on others when it was just the 2 of us. So it was a little bit easier to stomach, but it was still over $100 for 2 of us to eat one meal. And in my opinion, that's a little bit steep, considering you're technically in an all-inclusive situation. I understand there being an upcharge for the specialty dining, but it's done. I've noticed on other cruise lines, the upcharge for those specialty dining restaurants is not nearly that. It may be half that. So, and it's something that, it's my personal opinion, my personal preference. I don't know, in my opinion, that it's worth $65 per person for the upcharge, for the nicer upcharge restaurants like Jamie's, Chops Grill, Izumi. I don't know if it's worth that much, but they're definitely nice, and you're gonna get good food in those locations. So it's gonna be something you have to decide on for yourself. Outside of other complimentary establishments, there are a couple. The Johnny Rockets, it's still an upcharge. It's not nearly as much, but we did, for 4 of us, spend about $100 to eat there. We also ate at Playmakers. That was a little more reasonable. Everything is a per item charge. You're just charged like you would in a regular establishment, land-based, where you purchase what you want to purchase, and that was, I think, very reasonable, and the food was very good. So Playmakers is definitely one that if you're wanting to kind of get out of the complimentary food venues, is one I would recommend. One thing that you really do need to try that is complimentary, that I don't know that a lot of people are aware of, is the Solarium Bistro. It is, the Solarium is only for adults, but the Solarium Bistro can be accessed with children. Took our grandkids there, and we ate there, and it is complimentary. On Symphony of the Seas, it is pretty much a buffet style kind of grab and go, at 4 different stations. I know they were telling us that on other ships it may be done different, where 1 or 2 items may be grab and go, and the others are you place the order and it's brought to your table. So on Symphony of the Seas, it is a grab and go buffet style on all the courses, and it was very good. Everything I had there was really good. So it's definitely one, if you are on Symphony of the Seas, you need to check out the Solarium Bistro. And you do have to make reservations there, but I think if you were to walk up, you could probably get in. Don't quote me on that, but I think you could, because it seemed like maybe a couple people did do that while we were there. So this is Rob with South Main Travelers. I hope you found this review of Symphony of the Seas helpful. If you liked it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, and we appreciate it. And check out some more of our videos.